Okay, so today's presentation with Rabbi Wolf, the main lecture, An Enemy's Kiss, the reunification of Yaakov and Esav. So Rabbi Wolf told me this morning, gave me a preview that this is the shir that's going to bring it all together. So looking forward to see how that is done, and welcome back once again.
Okay, so it is 12:10, so I have till 1:10. If I bore you today, then you can have it against me. Today's class I'm excited about. So, what's new? Zois Chanukah, 5780 in Melbourne. In Melbourne, it's hot. Got very hot. Very, very, very hot. And I'm not insulted that this is what you're welcoming me with. I'm here already a week and it wasn't hot. But today it's hot. And that is exactly Moshiach. The heat wave. When Moshiach will come, it will be very hot. Not that I want to chas v'shalom scare everybody from Moshiach. But so it says, when Mashiach will come, it will be hot because Hashem is going to take the sun out of its sheath, out of its holder, and it's going to be hot. And the heat of Mashiach is particularly connected to number 8. We've been talking about number 8, 5780. We've been talking about Chanukah being the Yom Tov of 8, and today is the 8th day of Chanukah, and I'm speaking to the community of number 8, which it didn't occur to me even when I started all this, that you are the Uz of the world, which Uz is the Uz communities, which the Uz is number 8, Aleph over Zion. So you made it hot, very hot. And Baruch Hashem, Hashem is kind that even though He took the sun out of its sheath, He covered us with clouds. So we don't get burnt by this intense heat. But where do we see that the light of Mashiach is associated with number 8 and the heat of the days of Mashiach, which, by the way, those that are terrified of Mashiach are commanding very much about global warming and so terrified of global warming. There's always deeper meanings to all of this. But it's related to the number 8 because the first person who experienced Mashiach experienced it on a very hot day after the 8th day. Avram Avinu had his bris milah. He didn't have it on the 8th day, but he had the bris milah, which the bris milah is a mitzvah that's done on the 8th day because it's tapping into the godliness of number 8. And what happened immediately after that? Vayera Elav Hashem, Hashem appeared to him. What's the content of that revelation? Hashem didn't even speak to him. That revelation is the revelation of Mashiach. Why? All it takes to bring Mashiach is to remove the foreskin, to remove the arla, to remove the shalish klippus atmeis, the 3 impure klippus that are blocking God's light in the world that we spoke about yesterday. The elevation of Noga. That's what bris milah is, of number 8. So what happens? Vayera Elav Hashem, Hashem appeared to him, and what was it? It was hot. Very hot. Why? Because Hashem took the sun out of the shield. That's Mashiach. When the sun will be out of its shield. And therefore it was very hot. And immediately who's welcomed into the world? What's the further the story? Yitzchak. Yitzchak is going to be born. The Malachim that come to visit Avram have a message to Sarah, to Avram and primarily to Sarah, that she's going to have a baby. And the baby is Yitzchak. Which Yitzchak means laughter. And Yitzchak is the future. Yitzchak means to laugh. It's referring to the ultimate laughter. The laughter that we're going to laugh when Mashiach comes. From the word Oz. Oz yemole schoik pinu. Then our mouths will be filled with laughter. We're going to laugh when Mashiach comes. Oz, number 8. Yitzchak is that schoik, that laughter. Yitzchak. It's interesting when you go to Ma'aras HaMachpelah. Till now I never went inside because I'm a kohen. I was there maybe once or twice, but I didn't go in. This time when I went just a few months ago, I met Danny Cohen, and he was telling me that he got a whatever. He has a heter or whatever, because they told him that you're allowed to. So I said, okay, Danny, you are living here with Mesiras Nefesh every day. If you couldn't go in, Mela, but I'm coming over here like a nice tourist. So I don't know if that applies. Anyways, but his one who works for him told me that they have a Pesach Tefach. It's good for the Kahanim to know. You might want to verify with your rabbi. He said they opened up a special opening actually below, but the reason it's not publicized is because they did it illegally. I mean, against the whoever's in charge there, the Arab, whatever. So therefore, but he says 100% okay for Kahanim to go in. So when I went in, you can go visit Avram, you can go visit Yaakov, you can go visit Yitzchak. Why are they stopping us from seeing Yitzchak? Because Yitzchak is the Geula. When Mashiach comes, we're going to say, Yitzchak, Yata Avinu, you are our father, Dafka to Yitzchak. Yitzchak is going to be the most dominant of our fathers when Mashiach comes. So Yitzchak is the laughter of the future. And that's why you see an amazing thing. What happened? As soon as the Malach tells Sarah that she's going to have a baby, she starts laughing. And the question is, what's so funny? Why is she laughing? It's almost she can't control herself, and then she gets blamed by the Hashem is upset she laughed. But you know why she's laughing? She's laughing because she's experiencing Moshiach. She's laughing the laughter of the voice of Moshiach. So she laughs. We are going to laugh. It's going to be uncontrollable laughter when Moshiach comes. And that's the laughter of Sarah. That's the laughter of the future. And what's the laughter? What's the laughter of Yitzchak? The laughter of Yitzchak is that all the darkness will suddenly be transformed to light, and it's going to be so amusing of how that was possible. How is it possible that all the darkness and all the suffering and all the concealments, we will then see that it was all really all good, and it's all gonna, in an incredible way, transform to light, and that's the laughter. That's why it says, Tzchoik asa li Eloikim. The laughter comes from which name of Hashem? The laughter, Chassidus explains, laughter comes from the darkness. The name of Elokim is the name of Hashem that creates concealment and darkness. And so the laughter comes dafka from the conversion of the darkness to light, which is the avodah of the Jewish people throughout the entire exile, which we convert darkness to light. We convert klipas noga to light. We convert and therefore eliminate the three impure klippas and transform the entire world to light. Ozimale, then we're going to laugh. And the power to convert darkness to light comes from number 8. Ozimale, then our mouths are going to be filled with laughter. And what do we say further? Oz, then, yoimru bagoyim, the nations. Why are we talking about the nations? Because that's part of the laughter, that all the nations of the world will praise the Jewish people. Higdil Hashem lasoisim eleh, that Hashem did great things with the Jewish people. All related. Number 8, the transformation of the nations. And as the pasuk says, Oz then ahapach ela'amim. Again, Oz then ahapach. I will convert ela'amim, the nations. Hashem will convert nation after nation. Safa beruro, with a very clear tongue, to serve Hashem. And that's the essence of Yitzchak, the laughter of the future. So when we take a look at the word Yitzchak, which is, we said, means will laugh, the laughter of the future. So Yitzchak himself represents this level of number 8, because the gematria of the word Yitzchak is 208. Yitzchak is gematria 208. 208 is 8 times Yud Kei Vav Kei. 8 times the Tetragrammaton, 8 times the Eibishter's name. It's the revel. Yitzchak is the laughter of number 8, of the Gilui of Yud Kei Vav Kei 8 times. Like we know that when Mashiach will come, the kinor, the harp in the Beis HaMikdash, is going to have 8 strings. The harp now only has 7 strings. The harp that on the Beis HaMikdash, Tul Mashiach, had 7 strings, because we only have 7 musical notes, and when Mashiach comes, we will have to discover the 8th note of music, which is related to the revelation of the infinite in this world, as it will create a whole new level of music and laughter. That's the laughter of the future. What is kinor? Chassidus says, what is kinor? Kinor is related to Hanukkah, because kinor is ner, lamps, ner chavav. The ner, the word kinor is spelled ner, The lamp, Chavav of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Chavav is 26. The lamp of 26. Kinar is the lamp of 26, because what does music do? Music reveals the Pnimius. And we spoke about it on the Shir on Friday, how music elevates, brings out, even the neshamas above, when they go higher and higher, it's always through a song, through a nigun. So when a person sings, when you hear music, it opens you up. What's inside a Jew? What's inside a Jew? Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. The neshama is a ner. The ner of what? The ner of Yud Kei Vav Kei. So kinar, when you hear music, what does it do? Ner Hashem. It brings out the ner. But the kinar that we have until Mashiach comes is only of 7 strands. That means it's 7 times Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's not 8 times Yud Kei Vav Kei. The kinar of Moshiach, the ner chavav, the lamp of 26 of the future of Mashiach, is going to be of 8 strands, and that's Yitzchak, which is 8 times Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Jew today, our experience today, we're beginning to laugh already, but the Jew in the time of exile is still in number 7. That's why Yitzchak has a son, Yaakov. And when we take a look at Yaakov, his name is Gematria. You don't have to do the math, I'll do it for you. 182. Yaakov is Gematria. Yud Ayin is 80. Kuf and Beis is 102 plus 80. 182 is Yaakov. The difference between 208 and 182 is 26. Yaakov is 1 less. Yaakov is 7 times Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Yitzchak is 8 times Yud Kei Vav Kei. Why? Yaakov represents the struggling Jew, the Jew that's fighting. He's fighting with darkness. When you take a look at Yaakov's life, you see a life fraught with challenges, with darkness, with opposition. Yaakov cries out last week and he says, Kael Shakai, the God of Shakai should have mercy on me. They should say, L'tzoyroisai, to say to my troubles, die, enough. I've had all my life, Rashi says, I had Tzoros Lavan, I had Tzoros Esav, I had Tzoros Rachel, he had the suffering of, I had Tzoros Yosef and Tzoros Binyamin and Tzoros Dina. If you have a heartbroken Jew, a Jew that has gone through the entire gamut of difficulties and challenges, it's Yaakov Avinu. And Yaakov, why is he called Yaakov? Because he's struggling with darkness. He's struggling with the darkness of Esav. He's struggling with the Klippa. Therefore, during the struggle, the 8th dimension is hidden. We don't have, the 8th light is not shining. It's the light of 7. We work our way through nature. We work our way through doing Torah and mitzvahs dafka within the natural world. If the 8th dimension of our neshama, if the bris milah, every yid be'etzem is 8. Every yid is really a Yitzchak Jew. Every yid be'etzem has the 8th dimension of transcendental infinite light. But if that infinite light would be visible, if that infinite light would be present in his daily life, we would not be able to elevate the world. We would blast the darkness away. We would destroy it. We wouldn't meticulously elevate it. Since Hashem wants us to elevate the world, we don't have the 8th dimension revealed. We look and we appear to be natural beings working within the world of 7, not number 8. But when we complete our work, then we will go back. What is Yaakov's dream all his life? What does he say? When he leaves Haran, when he leaves Be'er Sheva, and he has the dream, he says, Hashem, if you will be with me and you'll protect me, and all the good things. But he doesn't leave it by that. He says, V'shafti b'shalom, I will come back home, el beis avi, to my father's house. Which is a strange thing, because by that time, Yaakov is about 100 years old. Can't he get himself his own apartment? That Gavgen el beis avi, he has to go to his father's house. What's the meaning over here? He wants to go to Yitzchak. Yaakov is striving for Moshiach, for the Yitzchak's light, for the laughter. That's where he's going. But in order to get to Yitzchak, he needs to convert the darkness to light. But hold it, if Yaakov is a son from Yitzchak, that means, and a father inherits to his son who he is and what he is, a parent gives to his child all of his qualities. So if Yitzchak has the 8th dimension in his neshama, 8 Yud Kei Vav Keis, Yaakov only has 7 Yud Kei Vav Keis. What happened with the 8th? What happened not just with one? What happened with the most powerful one? So we said earlier, in order for Yaakov to be successful, it has to be hidden from him. But where is it? Well, where is it hidden? Where do you hide something? You hide something in the most unexpected of places. What happened with the 8th dimension of Yitzchak? Well, Yaakov has a brother, and his brother is Esav. The 8th power of Yitzchak is not in Yaakov, it's in Esav. What I'm saying now is a teaching from the Reb Pinchas Baal Hafla. He brings in the Sefer HaMikneh, and I think in Panim Yafis as well, a colleague of the Alter Rebbe, one of the great students of the Mizritcha Magid. So he says that Esav is gematria 3, let's look at Esav. Esav is Shin Ayin Vav, 386. What's the significance of the number 386? 376, I'm sorry. Shin Ayin Vav, 376. What's the significance of that number? He says it's 350 plus 26. 76, so it's 26 plus 350. What's the 350? So if Yaakov is 7 times Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name Yaakov, representing the 7 powers of Kedusha, the 7 midos of holiness, which is the 7 Yud Kei Vav Keis, Kinor, the 7 musical notes of the Beis HaMikdash, that's in Yaakov's Neshama. So Esav is the total opposite, is the antithesis. So the antithesis to Yud Kei Vav Kei is, what's 350? 350 is 7 times 50. 7 times 50. So you got 7 times 50 plus 26. 350 plus 26, 376. What is the 7 times 50? 50, he says, is the word tamei. Tes, mem, aleph. Mem is 40, aleph is 1, tes is 9. 40 plus 1 plus 9, 50. So Esav is the embodiment of the 7 powers of impurity. All the midos, every single one of the 7 midos, chesed, gevura, teferes, netzach, hod, yesod, malchus, each one of them corrupt. But Esav, that's not the whole story of Esav. You look superficially, that's the chitzonius. The pnimius, what's deep inside, he's also a son of Yitzchak, and it's not like Yishmael who had a non-Jewish mother. He has a Jewish mother, he's a son of Yitzchak and Rivka. Deep inside, buried under the rubble, buried under all this junk, is Yud Kei Vav Kei. The 8th, not Stama Yud Kei Vav Kei. The greatest of all the Yud Kei Vav Keis, higher and greater than Yaakov, related to the godliness of the world of Tohu, which is the infinite lights of Hashem that have somehow fallen down and collapsed and fallen inside and buried in Esav. And that's why Yitzchak loves Esav so much. Doesn't make any sense. Yitzchak doesn't make any mistakes. What does he love Yitzchak? Yitzchak is laughter. Laughter is pleasure. That's what laughter is. It's an amusing pleasure. The pleasure that's mixed with amusement, that's what creates laughter. So, and what's the laughter of Yitzchak? You can only have the amusing pleasure from something that's a chidush. What causes a person to laugh? When it's something that's unexpected. That's when you laugh. It's funny because it's like weird, it's crazy, it didn't make any sense. The mind is baffled. And what is that? That's the transforming of that which is wicked, that which is dark, that which is far, and it's converted to light. Yitzchak needs Esav, or else Yitzchak is out of business. His whole entire being is the laughter can never be achieved just from a tzaddik like Yaakov, who's been a tzaddik and ishtam and learned. That's not the conversion of darkness. It's Esav who has the potential, because Esav is the dark one. But inside Esav is that holiest of sparks, the 8th dimension of Yitzchak in Esav. And that's why when Yitzchak calls Esav, what does he say to him? Vasei li matamim, make for me delights. Yitzchak is looking dafka to Esav to bring him delights. So what does he want? What does Yitzchak want? He wants lamb chops. Yitzchak Avinu is going to get pleasure, matamim, from lamb. I like lamb chops. That's one of the other reasons or incentives I had to come to Melbourne. You have really good lamb chops over here. It's amazing. It's such a Hasidic city. It's really amazing. I saw the other restaurant is Noga. Yesterday we spoke all about elevating Noga. This is so good over here. You can go to Noga all the time and just elevate Klippas Noga. In any case, really special. So what does Yitzchak want? Yitzchak wants a pleasure. Who's he asking Esav for pleasure? The Alter Rebbe says the pleasure that he wants, matamim, is from the conversion of darkness to light. The Alter Rebbe says it's taking the v'gam rasha liyoim ra. Even the wicked makes yoim. The Alter Rebbe says makes day out of ra. And even when Yaakov comes and takes the blessing, then he is the one that brings the matamim. He's the one that brings. He couldn't come as Yaakov because just tzaddik, just holiness doesn't speak to Yitzchak. It might speak to Avram, it might speak to others, but not to Yitzchak. To Yitzchak needs the spice. Yitzchak needs the jalapeno. Yitzchak needs that conversion of darkness to light. And where does that conversion come from? Dafka, from Esav. So when Yaakov is coming, he's dressed in the clothing of Esav because he's now going to take on the role of converting Esav to holiness. So what happens with these two brothers? They both go their own way. Yaakov and Esav hates Yaakov. He's a killer. He's a murderer. He's a monster. He's a seven-headed beast. 7 klippas. Everything about him is tameh. And then when Yaakov is finally coming back after these entire gullahs, 20 years of gullahs, how long are we in gullahs? 2000. Exactly, Yaakov. He's 20 years and we're same thing. And Yaakov is coming back. What is Yaakov doing? He's going to the Geula. And what does he do? Interesting. He goes and he sends messengers. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim el Esav achiv. He sends messengers to Esav, his brother. Why is he sending messages to Esav? What does he need Esav for? And so the Medrash says, compares it to a person who sees a gangster that's sleeping on the road, and the person, so he wakes up the gangster. So the Medrash was, why'd you do that? And then the gangster, kills him. Hey, why'd you do that? He's sleeping. The Medrash says, yeah, Esav was sleeping. He's busy. He got on to other things. Why is Yaakov sending messengers? So Chassidus explains he has no choice. If he wants to go to the Geula, the only way he can go to the Geula is together with Esav. That's the 8th dimension. He doesn't have it without Esav. And he thought that by now Esav is already polished. Esav has already been refined. Esav has done his work. Yaakov did his work and Esav did his work. But then he finds out that Esav is coming against him with 400 men. And he's terrified and he's scared. And then you have the amazing confrontation. And when you have that in confrontation, on the way he gets injured by the malach of Esav, right? And he's limping and fine. Finally they have their confrontation. What does the pasuk say? That Yaakov goes towards Esav and he bows down 7 times. He bows down 7 times. And then the pasuk says, Ad gishtoi, until he approaches El Achiv, to his brother. If you remember, Rashi says in the beginning, when it says Banu El Achicha El Esav, where we came to your brother to Esav, Rashi says, you think he's your brother, but he's not your brother. He's really Esav Harasha. He's the wicked Esav. Esav is 376, so Esav has got the klipa all around it. But when Yaakov is looking for his Yaakov is looking for his brother. Yaakov is looking for the completion of his neshama. Yaakov is looking for the spark in Esav that belongs really to complete Yaakov's number 8. That's his brother. He's not a brother on the external. He's a brother in terms of his neshama. So when he goes and he meets him, what does it say? Ad gishtoi, until he approaches El Achiv, to his brother. Because there was no more klipa at that moment. All the Esav shed. Literally, in that moment, Esav shed 7 layers of concealment. 7. Why? Every time Yaakov bowed down, bowing is a hamshacha. In Chassidus it says that bowing is not a submission, only a submission, it's also a drawing down. So Yaakov was zapping Esav with powerful lights, and that light cracked open the nut. It broke out the shells, and the shells fell down, and what was left of Esav was his brother. And that's why the Gemara says an interesting story, that it was, I think, Reb Acha bar Yaakov, maybe Reb Yaakov bar Idi or Reb Acha bar Yaakov, I think Reb Acha bar Yaakov, who came to a town, and there was a haunted house, there was a shul that was haunted, and the Gemara Masechtas Kedushin, and there used to be a demon that would come and harm. If someone was alone in the shul, they had a demon that would come, and this demon was appeared as a 7-headed monster. Everybody was scared to be alone in shul. But when Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov came to shul, they decided not to tell him about this demon, and they invited him, and then slowly everybody snuck out, because they knew he's a tzaddik, and they figured they'll leave him there alone, and he'll handle the situation. And that's what happened. The demon appeared, and Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov prayed, and he bowed down 7 times, and every time he bowed, he chopped off one of the heads of this monster. So I think the Rebbe's father says, how did Acha bar Yaakov know that? Well, he learned it because he's Bar Yaakov, so he knows from his Zayde Yaakov that bowing at the 7-head monster knocks off every sin. Don't try that on your own, but not chopped off one of the heads of the klipa. And then what happened? The mysterious thing happened. Esav, who all his life is waiting, literally, he's waiting to thrust a dagger into his brother's chest. He's waiting to literally bite him and crush him. And at that unbelievable moment, he hugs his brother and they both cry. Vayef, and he cries. And Rashi says, he kisses him. And Rashi says, according to one opinion, Reb Shimon bar Yochai, Noshkoi b'chol liboy. Even though halacha Esav saying Yaakov, even though it's such a rule that Esav hates Yaakov, at that moment, Noshkoi, he kissed him b'chol liboy, with his entire heart. Why? Because once the klipa was gone, the Yud-Kev, all that was left in Esav was that inner light that's in the neshama of Esav, and now it attached itself to his brother, to the other 7 lights, and you had Zois Chanukah. You had the 8 lamps of the menorah, the 8th night of Chanukah, where all the lamps of the menorah are complete, revealing the 8th dimension. It's the tikkun of Esav, and now that's Moshiach. Moshiach can only come with the effects of Yaakov and Esav together as they join a joint venture. Va'olu Moshiach Bahar Tzion, the Moshiach, those that are saved, or Moshiach, those the saviors, which is referring to, as the Mefarshim say, Moshiach the Siyatoi, Moshiach and his helpers. They will go up on the mountain of Tzion, Lishpoi, to judge as Har Esav, the mountain of Esav. And the moment you have, and we'll soon see what judging the mountain of Esav means, doesn't mean to punish Esav. It means to give guidance and direction to Esav, to elevate Esav. And when Mashiach will connect and elevate Esav, what's the next words that we say? V'hoisol Hashem hamlucha. To Hashem will be the kingdom, which means the Yizgalus of Mashiach and of Melech HaMashiach, and the Yizgalus of the Eibishter's kingdom in the world will happen at that magical time when Yaakov and Esav will come together. So what has happened in recent history? And where are we standing today in terms of that conversion? So we spoke about that yesterday, that Esav is related to Klipas Noga, and that Klipas Noga is the birur that we do for thousands of years, and it separates the good and the bad, and we're seeing this great separation that's happening in the world today, those that are for the Jewish people and those that are against the Jewish people. We see an assistance to Yidden like we've never seen from Esav, from Christians, from those that are the inheritors of Edom. This is incredible stuff. But we know we've been doing this work for thousands of years. We were scattered, primarily the Jewish people, part of the Jewish people went into the lands of Yishmael to do a tikkun in the world of Yishmael, and part of the Jewish people went into the lands of Esav. The two dominant forces of the 70 nations, it says 35 belong to Yishmael and 35 belong to Esav. So we know, Sfaradim and Ashkenazim, there was a little bit of a split as we moved into 2 different places, each one doing their own tikkun in the different respective places. Now we've been working with Esav for thousands of years of purification. We would expect to see already the results of our work. We want to see something. If you don't see, right? So where is the product? What have we produced? So I think it's quite clear that in the Western Europe or Western civilization, which, as we said, Rome translates into Christianity and so on and so forth, we have to see at a certain point that there's a certain birur or rectification. Where's the rectification? I think when the United States of America was established, you've seen a more refined Esav. You've seen Esav a little bit elevated, because you have Gentiles who've created a society that was based on morals. How much did the Rebbe talk about the founding fathers of the United States, those who wrote the Constitution? The Rebbe who spoke with the Rebbe, you can see that even like in a sense of love and admiration for the pilgrimage, for those who came, what do they call the pilgrims? Those who came up at the beginning, and it's wow, a malchus shel chesed built on a deep convictions and morals of the Torah and a faith and belief in Hashem. Right? Fine. It's interesting, the previous Satmar Rebbe even, it's interesting, mentions, and it said an interesting thing. I think I mentioned it last time when I was here. The Satmar Rebbe said that, Rabbi Yoel, he said that it has to be that those who wrote the Constitution, they had Ruach HaKodesh. They could not have written such a document without a divine inspiration. It's incredible, so you see. And that's the reason why probably it's called Har Esav. What's Har Esav mean? It means Esav elevated. That's why America is called the city on the hill. President Reagan referred to it, the city on the hill. Esav elevated. Now, this process of Yaakov fixing Esav, the process of Yaakov fixing Esav in the world of Jewish mysticism, in Kabbalah and in Hasidus, there is a certain formula to it. The formula is called as follows. Ma has to fix ban. Ma fixes ban. Just very briefly, what's ma and what's ban? Ma is the power of tikkun, the power that fixes, the power of the Jewish people. Ban is what needs to be fixed. Where does it come from, ma and ban? These are two names of the Eibishter. It's all related to Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's related to Hashem's name of 26, Yud Kei Vav Kei. But if you fill the Yud Kei Vav Kei with the hidden letters, that means Yud is not only a Yud. Yud is Yud Vav Daled. Yud. Right? So then when you fill the hidden letters, being that Yud Kei Vav Kei can be spelled in various different ways. So sometimes it's gematria. One of the gematrias is when you fill it with an aleph, called Miloi Alfin. That kind of a Miloi, you get the gematria of 45. And if you fill the Yud Kei Vav Kei with Hays, not with Alephs, but with Hays, the gematria, and then the Vav doesn't have an Aleph inside of it. I'm not going to get into it right now exactly how you do it, but it's 52. Let's take a look at the gematria of 40 of the word of 45. 45 is called Shema, Mem He, 45. But it also spells the word Adam. Aleph, Daled, Mem is 45. Because Ma consciousness, Ma awareness, the level of Ma, the Jewish people, the Jewish soul, has human consciousness. What does it mean? The Gemara says, Atem kruyim Adam. You are called Adam. The unique name Adam, which is Adam el Elyon, being compared to the one above, is Adam, is only for the Jewish people. Why? Because Adam means a consciousness, an awareness of truth. A human being can evaluate a situation and see the truth of something. The Jewish neshama, since our neshama does not come from the shattered element, the shvirat hakelim, the shattered world, we have a direct line of communication, uninterrupted state. The neshama comes from that system that has never been broken. Again, this is a deep concept in Chassidus. We don't have the time to go into it right now, but just briefly, the main idea is that the Jewish neshama and Torah and mitzvot, they're all related to this Adam channel, which is the name of Ma, which is an awareness of Hashem. That's why it's called human. It's also gematria Ma. Ma means bittul. What does bittul mean? If you're aware of God, then you don't have a big ego. You don't have a big self. Because you realize that the Eibishter is everything. So you're nullified to God. That's the meaning. That's Kedusha. All of Kedusha, according to the Alter Rebbe in Chasidus, is the one Nekuda. What's the sign if something is holy? Is if it has bittul. Bittul means it has Ma energy, the power of Chachma. Koyach Ma, the power of 45. That's Adam. Ban, 52, is the shattered part of the world. That's everything that's shattered in the world, everything that's dark, everything that needs fixing. It too comes from Hashem, related to the 52, which is Gematria Behema. So interesting. Adam has to fix Behema. Okay? That's the idea. 45 has to fix 52. Okay? Remember that. That's an important thing for us to be able to continue. So in the United States of America, let me share with you an amazing thing. The Friedrich Rebbe, after the Friedrich Rebbe was in Russia fighting the communists, okay? When the Friedrich Rebbe was in Russia fighting the communists, now the communists, they too are the red party, okay? And that was also Edom. And that was, as we spoke, related to the old Edom, the Edom that I spoke yesterday about in Notre Dame. They were like Edom as the ultimate apikursim, the ultimate atheists, but also the descendants of Esav. And they were red. And they put up the greatest, the most intense war against Kedusha, against Moshiach, against Torah and mitzvahs. And the previous Rebbe, single-handedly, was the one, literally, the Friedrich Rebbe was the one who stood up against them. And when they arrested the Friedrich Rebbe and had him there in jail, had him in their prison, And it was unbelievable because they had everything they could have, they already decreed upon him that he needs to die. They killed millions of people. For them it was nothing. And the big miracle happened now. The Frierdiker Rebbe came out of their clutches. But the real story is the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't just come out of their clutches. The Frierdiker Rebbe, when he was in jail, when he faced them in those interrogating rooms and he didn't flinch, he actually stabbed them in the heart. He gave them a death blow. And it took them a slow death. It took them 70 years until the giant fully collapsed. But they were dead already at that point because he broke them. Obviously, there's a lot of Chassidim that died afterwards, carrying on the Mesiras Nefesh. But the Pnimius, he already destroyed that klipa of Esav and its darkness. An amazing thing. After the Frierdiker Rebbe came out of Russia, what was the next thing he did? He went to Riga, and then he took a trip. They invited him to come visit America. So the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, but he didn't go straight to America. The interesting thing was, when he decided to come to America, he went to Eretz Yisrael. He went to visit to Eretz Yisrael, and he went to the Mekaymes HaKadoshim in Eretz Yisrael. He went to visit the Kollel, he went to the Maris HaMachpelah, he went to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, he went to Kever Rachel, he went to Maris HaMachpelah, he went to the reason, it's interesting, the Frierdiker Rebbe why did he go to Eretz Yisrael before he went to America? Again, these are my thoughts, but I think it seems to be right. The Frierdiker Rebbe himself said the reason why he's going to Eretz Yisrael is because he wants to go daven by Avosav HaKadoshim. He wants to go daven by his fathers, by his holy fathers. But at that time, it was prevented from him to go daven by the graves of his fathers because he could not go to the Baal Shem Tov, he could not go to Lubavitch, he couldn't go to Rostov. So instead, because he couldn't go to daven by his fathers, he went to our forefathers in Eretz Yisrael as like substitute for going to his immediate ancestors. That was it. But the question is, why dafka at that point is the Frierdiker Rebbe going to daven? You understand, if he did it before 1927, we can understand that there was this big threat looming upon, and the fight that he was going to fight. He needed big rachmei shamayim, he needed great assistance above to do that. But now that was over. Why up is dafka at that junction? Does the Frierdiker Rebbe go daven? It's a special trip. He's not like we do trips, we like to go here and there, but the Rebbe is a Rebbe. Everything is, why is he going now, dafka? So I think, Kurt, is that once the Frierdiker Rebbe was done with the destruction of Edom in its dark side, we were going to deal with the other element of Edom, the Edom that needs to be sublimated, the Edom that needs to be elevated. And that was a whole different klippa. That's the klippa of America. And that was, in a sense, even a more difficult klippa because it's completely indifferent to godliness. It's a world that worships materialism. This is the ultimate gerupkeit of people. And that's why for Yidden, those who came to America were very challenged. This is, America is Andish. And the Frierdiker Rebbe had to come and say, America is nicht Andish. And then him and his son-in-law and our Rebbe were going to convert the United States and elevate everything and transform and prepare the final preparation for Moshiach. So this is a very important junction in terms of the history of the world, of the final tikkun that needs to happen. What does it say in the pasuk? Va'olu Moshiach bahar Tzion lishpoit es har Esav. That the Mashiach, the powers of the messianic powers in the world, the Rashi says, Melech HaMashiach v'siyatoi, the powers of Mashiach in the world, when they're going to be mshoifet Har Esav. Who is Har Esav? Esav elevated. That's the part of Esav that needs to be elevated. That's Chatzi Kader Atachten, and led by the United States of America, that needs to be sublimated. Esav needs to be brought to the Geula. But then if you're going to Lishpoit as Har Esav, so why doesn't the pasuk say Va'olu Moshiach Bahar Seir? Lishpoit es har. When you judge someone, what does the Eibush to say when he goes to judge Sodom? Erdano, let me go down to the place. So it should say Va'olu Moshiach Bahar Esav or Bahar Edom, Bahar Seir, Lishpoit es har Esav. Why does it say Va'olu Moshiach, the sea sages will go Lahar Tzion? They will go to the mountain of Zion, of Tzion, Lishpoit es har Esav. But you see the Frierdiker Rebbe, where does he go? He goes Bahar Tzion to Eretz Yisrael. He goes to visit on the way to America. And only after he makes that visit, he sets off sail and he comes to the United States of America. When the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, a very interesting thing happened. He went and he visited towns across the United States of America. He went to Chicago and he went to a bunch of places. Philadelphia, and give me a few others. St. Louis, whole bunch of cities. One of the places the Frierdiker Rebbe went, one of the first places was to Philadelphia. When he came to Philadelphia, it says the mayor of Philadelphia, they made him a big Kabbalah's upon him. Very big Kabbalah's upon him. Came to greet him. And the mayor of Philadelphia came with a whole entourage of people, there were hundreds of people there to greet him at the train station. Then they made like this whole parade for him, and they brought him to Independence Hall, where the Constitution was written. And over there is a chair, a special chair of George Washington's chair. And that chair is a chair reserved. They don't allow, it was cordoned off, and they didn't allow anybody to sit on that chair besides very important dignitaries, very important people. The Frierdiker Rebbe was considered a big hero, someone who fought for human rights. He just had against the Soviets. So in the United States, he was a hero. So they honored the Frierdiker Rebbe to sit down on George Washington's chair. And the Frierdiker Rebbe sat down on George Washington's chair, and he blessed America. It's like Yaakov Avinu coming to Mitzrayim, blessing Mitzrayim. The Frierdiker Rebbe sits down on the chair and he blesses America. Later he gets up and he lays a wreath of flowers, whatever, by the Liberty Bell. Now let's stop a second. We're talking about a Rebbe over here, okay? So we, of course, would love to sit in that chair and take a selfie, right? But what is a person who doesn't have a self, doesn't take selfies? What's he doing on George Washington's chair? The Frierdiker Rebbe is Kodesh Kodashim. George Washington is at best, we can say Chasidei Yom Klipas Noiga. Right? The Alter Rebbe tells us, Nefesh where the nefashos of Goyim come from. So what in the world is he doing sitting on George Washington's chair? But you see that the Rebbe Rashab also, the Rabbeim had this thing that they like to sit on thrones. It's interesting. You see, when they went to visit Germany, the Rebbe Rashab, they went to live. There was a park in France, in Austria. There was a famous park where great kings would come, and each one had their booth. And the king of Germany, King Wilhelm, had Kaiser Wilhelm had a chair. And the Rebbe Rashab asked the Frierdiker Rebbe to get him to be let in, and the Frierdiker Rebbe had to bribe the guard. He got him to come in. The Rebbe Rashab sat down and he took a quill and he wrote Chassidus sitting on King Wilhelm's throne. And then he said, Akluge Benkel. This is a wise, it's amazing. That the Rabbeim, because the Rabbeim are Malchus Beis David, ultimately you need to conquer the entire world. They're sitting there to do big things, not just for fun, chas v'shalom. Frierdiker Rebbe, and what's the bracha he gave to America? What did the Frierdiker Rebbe give America? What was his blessing? He gave the blessing, he said, Ich hab ewig gewollt kommen zu der Wiegele von Amerikans Freiheit. I always wanted to come, the Frierdiker Rebbe said, to the cradle, to the birthplace of American freedom. And then the Frierdiker Rebbe says that the what's real freedom? Freedom that's based on a belief in God, that's emes of freedom. That's enduring freedom, and so that's what the Frierdiker Rebbe, that was his blessing. You think about it. America today is split in half. Half of the country is following Napoleon that the Alter Rebbe fought against already back then, a Napoleon idea of freedom, liberating themselves from God and representing what I spoke about the first day, humanistic ideas of morality and kind of, but get God out of the picture. And that's half of the United States of America today. That's the left, sadly. And then literally the country is split like it has never been before. And the question is, which way is it going to go? There are millions of people who believe in God and want to live lives on a God-based morality. And the Frierdiker Rebbe sits down on George Washington's seat, the founder, first president, and he directs the country, V'olu Moshiach B'har Tzion, Lishpoi, to judge, which means to give guidance, as Har Esav, the mountain of Esav, in which direction will it go? So the Frierdiker Rebbe then already brought about what's happening right now. Till 2016, the country was going in the other direction. But when it came to the 45th president, what did we speak about? It takes the power of 45. The whole avodah of Yidden is the power of 45 that fixes Esav. So it comes to the 45th president, and those who hate him can't even say his name because they hate him so much. You see that their hatred is the same Hatred, like people hate Jews. It's an irrational hatred that burns like crazy. Why? Because it's a hatred to God. It's a hatred to the ultimate plan of why the Eibishter created the world that's now coming through the 45th president. Why? Because they need a tikkun of Esav. And he looks like Esav, and in many ways behaves like Esav, and has all. It's true. We can't deny that. He's not the most refined, elevated person. Yet that's the whole idea, Esav being fixed. 45th. So when they hate him, they say impeach 45. That's the impeach Ma. Get the power of Ma out. Let's get rid of Ma. Let's get rid of Bittul. We don't want Bittul. 45 is Bittul. We don't want an Eibishter. We want a godless world. We want Moshiach without the Eibishter. We want Barack Obama Moshiach, who's going to bring global thing to the world, but no Eibishter in it, no God in it. So what happens? So an amazing story, and to conclude, where you see mamish, everything we learn in Torah and everything we learn actually is happening in front of our eyes. Just last year, a tragedy, we were still reeling from what happened last night in New York. And similar to that, and when something happens like on Hanukkah, there has to be a deeper story. This is not just what it is. There's something deeper, and at this moment we only feel the pain. But I remember when the guy came into Poway and he shot up, sadly, this special woman, Lori, may her soul rest in peace, and may she come down here very quickly, was killed by this killer in Poway. The strangest thing, it happened on Achron Shel Pesach. It happened on Moshiach's day. We're in a Chabad house, which Chabad, and where do we celebrate Moshiach's day? Dafke in Chabad. And when right before they started the Haftarah, speaking about Oida Yom Benoiv, about V'yotzag Chaytem again Mashiach. So when I heard that story, I said, there's something over here. This is not simple. If this happens on Achron Shel Pesach Mashiach, this has to be Mashiach Day. But what is? So what happened in the aftermath? Something incredible. First of all, Rabbi Goldstein rose like a lion. It was like the biggest Kiddush Hashem. Like he came out of surgery and already he was talking to the reporters. And even before, he stood up on a chair while his fingers were blown off. And he was talking to his community and said the Jewish people won't cave in and Am Yisrael Chai. And then later, America was stunned. I think the whole world was stunned to hear where a rabbi took. Usually when something happens, they say, oh, our prayers are with you, whatever. And here, just keep us in your prayers. Here it was, no, we're not going to be beaten. We're stronger than this, and everybody should do acts of goodness and kindness. Fire! It was unbelievable. And he said himself, it was a koyach that he felt. It's a shliach shel adam kamoisoi, a shliach of the Rebbe. It's like the Rebbe suddenly appeared inside of him, and that's what that was burning inside of him. Fine. A little while later, he was invited to the White House. He was invited to the White House. He got a call from the president, and he spoke to him, and then he was invited to the White House. And it was actually, I think, also everything happens on auspicious days. It happened on Chof Ches Nisan, when he went to the White House. Koyach Nisan. The day the Rebbe gave us, each one of us, the Koyach of a Rebbe to bring Moshiach, which we're going to discuss, Be'ez Hashem, the next 2 days. The day the Rebbe made us empowered that we should be like a Rebbe that can bring Moshiach. He gave it over to us. So this chassid comes and he's at the White House. First he went into the Oval Office. And he presented President Trump with a picture of the Rebbe, and President Trump put it on his table. Whether it's there today or not, it wouldn't surprise me that it's on the table. So he gave him. Then he asked him, actually, he told the shluchim separately, that he asked him to call Putin. He said, secret, let's do this quietly. Call Putin, and if you can get the Rebbe's svarim out. And Trump then said to him, I will do what I can. In any case, they came outside, and it was a day dedicated to prayer. And I think the Rabbi Goldstein did not know that he was going to be asked spoken. So it was all spontaneous. Rabbi Goldstein said, to the shluchim, he said, it was literally, Vayiftach Hashem es pia osen. The Eibishter opened up the mouth of the donkey. I can talk like that. He says, the Eibishter, the moment came. He's a chassid from them. He stood before the United States, and he's speaking to the whole country, all the cameras, everybody's watching it. And he's speaking like an amazing hero, and he spoke an interesting thing. Listen to this event, amazing. He stands over there, and he says that he speaks about, a few days ago he said, I was faced with darkness. I stared evil in the eye. But yet, he said, and our response has to be that we have to bring God more into into our consciousness and into our school. He spoke about a moment of silence, right? He spoke about a moment of silence. And then he turns to the president. I think this is like the most amazing event that ever happened. He turns to the president. So what do you have? First of all, you have a shliach, a chassid, who's living at the end of the exile. Every Jew is Yaakov. But his name is not Yaakov, his name is Yisrael. Why is he called Yisrael? Because Yaakov has two names. Yaakov is called Yaakov while he's struggling ba'akev Esav with the heel of Esav. But when our name change is called Yisrael. Why are we called Yisrael? Because we triumphed over the powers. We've already won the war. When we come out of Golus, we are called Yisrael. Kisarisam Elokim v'Menachem v'Tuchal. And this Goldstein Yaakov is injured, right? Yaakov Avinu. This is the Jew injured after this long exile. He's standing there. And Goldstein, he's not necessarily an extra short fellow, but next to President Trump, he's a little, you can see Benoy HaKatan, Rivka has two sons, Benoy HaKatan, the small one. Next to him is standing this big, tall President Trump, standing like this, and he's watching, all red. He turns to the president, and amazing, and he says, Mr. President, I want to tell you, he says, he says, the most unexpected words came out of him. He said, you are a mensch par excellence. Now, do you realize what that did to all the Jews in the United States of America? They cringed. A rabbi is standing. It's like the biggest, you don't have a greater compliment than being a mensch, right? To these Yidden, there's nothing greater than being a mensch. The one person who's not a mensch, and the total antithesis to a mensch, is President Trump. That a rabbi should say to him that he's a mensch. But why did he say that? But why did he say those words? And he said, you began my healing. Why did he say you are a mensch? Because the whole point over here is that ma, which is Adam, has to fix ban, which is behema. Yaakov has to fix Esav. Adam has to fix behema to make him into a mensch. He didn't even know what came out of his mouth. He said, you are a mensch. And you know what happened? Then he says, you began my healing. And he described how he was in pain and he was so broken, he was crying. And at that moment, your phone goes, no one, I don't know what, every compliment that was given to President Trump, no one ever called him a healer. Okay? So he calls him, you are a healer. And you know what happened? If there was ever, now what does it say when Yaakov sent messengers to Esav? It says Yaakov sends messages to Esav. And the point was, he says, Limtsoi chen be'einecha. I want to find favor in your eyes. So later, when the two of them meet, what does Yaakov say? What does Esav say to Yaakov? Esav says, come to my house. He invites Yaakov to come to him. And he says, we'll hang out together. You know, I'll fire up the barbecue. You'll come meet my grandchildren, Christiana, and this one and that one. The family will get together. We'll have a nice pool party. Esav is invited Yaakov. Fine. What does Yaakov say? I'm coming. In the end, Yaakov never went. So Rashi says, when he didn't go. Rashi says he will go in the end of days. When will be Yemei Melech HaMashiach, in the days of Melech HaMashiach, Yaakov will go to Esav. Then they will meet. For what purpose? Rashi says, V'olu Moshiach Bahar Tzion, Lishpoi, to judge as Har Esav, the mountain of Esav. So Yaakov is now standing at the White House in front of the cameras of the whole world. Now I know you say, okay, if it would be the Rebbe, okay, if it would be the Lubavitcher Rebbe standing in the White House talking to America, standing face to face with the president, would it be understandable to us to say that this is the meeting that we're talking about? Obviously. Shluchai shel Adam kemoisai, a shliach from the Rebbe is actually mamish him. So when he's standing and speaking to the United States and saying my mentor, my teacher, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and keeps on saying it again and again, he's not speaking his words. This is Yaakov meeting Esav. And what happens? The Rebbe Rashab and Maimer says, what does it mean? Limtsoi chen be'einecha. Yaakov says, I want to find favor in your eyes. What's the idea of finding favor? Why does Yaakov need favor in the eyes of Esav? So the Rebbe Rashab says, that limtzoi chen be'einecha means that since Esav has these powerful lights from the world of Tohu, the 8th dimension, these powerful lights of Tohu, but he doesn't have vessels, he doesn't have containers. Yaakov has the containers of Tikkun. The whole avoda of the Jewish people in this world is to connect the oros, the toihu, the lights, the powerful energies of Esav in the containers of Tikkun. So the Rebbe Rashab says that when Yaakov finds favor in the eyes of Esav, that favor, that's the chibur. That's when the oros, the toyu, are channeled into the kelim, the tikkun. There is no one in the world, I believe, ever found favor in the president's eyes like this rabbi who's telling America not only he's a mensch, but that he's a healer. Unbelievable. I think that the oiros, the toyu, the kelim, the tikkun happened already last year at this event, Chav Ches Adar. The story is no more a story of the future, it's a story that happened already. We're living it now. We have a hard time to believe it because we believe that all these things are mystical and they all belong in Himmel. No, they're happening in the world. That's what it's all about. And then, what did he ask? What did he ask from the United States? What was his message? His message was a moment of silence. What silence? Silence is the bittul, the ma. Why? When you're full of yourself, you make a lot of noise. When you're overwhelmed by something, you're silent. Chazal say, siyag lechachma, shtika. The fence, the crown, sometimes siyag means a crown, of chachma, of koyach ma, shtika is silence. So what does he tell to the United States of America? To Esav, says, you need to introduce ma. You need to introduce 45. You need to introduce bittul in your world. And this is happening, and we're watching it happen. And after this, a little while later, where did Rabbi Goldstein go? He went to the UN. And then from there, he spoke to all the nations of the world. He spoke about his father, Rabbi Yosef Goldstein, Yossi Goldstein, who used to sing Hashem is here, and with his finger used to point Hashem. So now he said that we have to use our fingers. I don't remember exactly, but this never happened, that a Jew, since Moshe Rabbeinu says that the Yid has to tell the nations of the world they have to keep Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. It was never done. The Rebbe said we should do it. But where was ever a time that someone actually did it? He stood and spoke in the UN and told them the world, not the UN wasn't too full that day, but it doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. The idea that a chassid is standing and telling the entire world that Yaakov is telling Esav that what? That you have to keep Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, Tikkun Olam. This is V'olam Mashiach B'Har Tzion, Lishpetes Ar Esav. Once this happens, once you have this chibur, V'hoisel Hashem Amlucha, then the Eibers to the kingdom. We're ready for Mashiach. So now we're on Zeis Chanukah 5780. On the 8th day of Chanukah, you have those powers of 7 and 8. Yaakov and Esav together, nothing's holding us back. So hopefully, for sure, today, we started over here in Melbourne, as we mentioned the other day, God is the first ones who light the 8th day. You brought the 8th day, you got the heat going already. May we already see the complete revelation of Melech HaMashiach. May it happen very soon. They're probably going to light the menorah in 770, the 8th day. We should see already the Rebbe walk in, standing in front of the entire world. Be the full revelation of Mashiach Tzidkenu now, and now.